bringing Gator Nation a different Gator great every episode.
This is Jabbar Gaffney. You're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, I'm Earl Everett. You're not a Gator, you're Gator bait.
This is Bo Carroll.
Hey, I'm Rita Anthony.
This is Kiwan Ratliff, and you are listening to All for the Gators podcast.
This is Cedric Faison, a.k.a. C4.
This is Brandon James.
This is Jack Jackson. Go Gators.
Hi, this is your boy Jeremy Mincy, a.k.a. Mr. Mintz, and we were the All for the Gators podcast.
This is Ben Troupe, and you listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey guys, this is Jarvis Moss. Go Gators.
You rocking with Lito Shepherd, and we're All for the Gators podcast, man. Top notch.
This is Chris Doring, and you're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
And now, your Gator alumni hosts, John, Andy, and Sid.
How'd you like that? That, my friends, is a brand new intro.
I do like the intro.
That sounds awesome. Really? Because when I texted it to you, all you said was, I like it.
Well, I was saving it for the show. Did you want me to give you too much of a sneak preview?
Andy replied. Andy was enthusiastic.
I gave you an exclamation
I love
mark.
it.
Yeah, I gave you an exclamation mark. Yeah, that's rare for me.
Little oomph.
Yeah, that's rare for me.
There was like 3 times during the day after I got that text, I was going to respond and be like, is there anything I can do, Sid, to make you love it? But I didn't.
Well,
but I didn't.
It's awesome. It's really cool.
I mean, with all the awesome guests that we have and we keep incorporating the new ones, it's only going to get better. Pretty soon, it's going to be like a 20-minute intro with all these awesome stars, friends of the show, talking about us.
I like the one that says top notch. That's the one I like.
Oh, Lito.
Yes, that's good.
Lito.
Top notch.
Top notch.
All right, let's do this. Top 10 guests that you would like to have on the show. Ready? Andy, go. No order.
Oh, boy. Do you want me to give you all 10 or we're going to alternate here?
Nope. Just give me 10.
All right.
That you would like to have on this show.
All right.
Your wish list.
Yeah. So, kind of easy for me. Spurrier, Tebow, Rex. Kind of want to keep going quarterbacks. I'd love to get Napier on, but that's probably going to be a tough sell.
Hey, we're on 2 official Home of the Gators radio stations, man.
He's a little busy.
You're right. You're right.
He has an important job. He does have an important job.
Good point.
I'm ready to jump in. I got a bunch I want on.
All right, Sid, go.
Well, Ike Hilliard would be fun. Channing Crowder.
Okay.
Oh, I got one.
Either of the Pounceys or maybe a Pouncey tandem.
Fred Taylor.
Yep.
Yeah, Freddie T. Definitely cool. Eric Rhett.
Emmett.
Can't go wrong
We're getting
there.
into the running backs now. Now we got the running backs going. Okay. I got stuck on the quarterbacks. I couldn't get off the quarterbacks because I was thinking of Trask. I'd like to talk to Trask still.
Sure.
I like sacks. How about Alex Brown? How about Freak? Let's get some sack monsters. I want to talk to guys who hit Florida State quarterbacks. That's what I enjoy about this show.
That's fine. I'm going to throw in. We're talking about running backs. So I'm going to throw in Neil Anderson.
Nice.
I'd like to talk to him. Todd Johnson, safety.
Nice.
He was one of my favorites.
Got a lot of good safeties out there. Yeah, Keanu O'Neal, Reggie Nelson,
Major Wright.
Major Wright.
I got to hear about that hit. I got to hear about that hit.
Do a whole show on the one hit.
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
You know who might be interesting? Antonio Callaway.
Yeah.
Had some ups and downs for sure.
I think he's on the Cowboys practice squad, if I'm not mistaken.
Is he?
I think so.
That catch against Tennessee, man. I'll never forget Mick Huber going bananas, but...
Mick Hubert. How about Mick Hubert on the show?
And you know what? After all of our friends of the show talk to him so affectionately, I'd really like to talk to Ron Zook. He sounds like a great guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Zook's on there. Obviously, I mean, love to get Urban Meyer.
How about any of the old school Gators?
Coach Spurrier, Chris Collinsworth.
Okay.
Orlando Brown.
I'd like to have Nat Moore.
Did I just say Orlando Brown? That should have been Lomas Brown. Please edit that.
Nope. Nat Moore, I'd love to have. Ricky Natil, I'd love to have. Wes Chandler, I'd love to have.
Yes.
I mean, we've been doing amazing with our guests. We've had UF Hall of Famers, Consensus All-Americans, you name it. They've been on the show. I mean, we couldn't be prouder of the guests we've already had, but I guess as a wish list, right? And it's good to always want things. So that's our wish list. And if anybody's listening, if any of those Gators are listening, contact the show. How about that? allforthegatorspodcast.com. 4 is the number 4.
I'd like to add my initial wish list. We've already had a bunch of them on the show. So, just putting it out there in the universe, they do come around. If you build it, they will come, so to speak. So,
sure.
Let's have our field of dreams out here. Come on. You hear that wish list? Come on the show. Be a friend.
I've got another one for our wish list that just popped into my head.
Sure.
Today's guest.
Aaron Walker.
Yeah, I like it. Speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, today's Gator Great came out of Mims, Florida, where at Astronaut High School, he played some baseball, basketball, and dominated as a two-way player in football, earning All-State and All-American honors, playing both tight end and defensive end. Despite 82 tackles and 14 sacks his senior year, he garnered acclaim for playing tight end, where he ranked amongst the top 7 in the nation and number 1 in the Southeast. After graduating, he trekked up northwest to Gainesville, and as a Gator would play in 47 games, hauling in 56 passes and scoring 9 touchdowns. He went on to play for the 49ers and Rams in the NFL and had pit stops with the Ravens and Browns. And speaking of pit stops, he knows a thing or two about those NASCAR ones as well. Gator Nation, I present to you one of college football's premier tight ends of his era, a player and a scholar, earning 1999 and 2001 SEC Academic Honor Roll, 2002 Second Team All-SEC, big number 82 in the orange and blue, and number 48 as DH on the baseball team as well, Mr. Aaron Scott Walker.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, welcome.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah,
that was a heck of an intro there. That's been a long time ago, so I kind of forgot about some of that stuff.
Aaron, so cool to have you on with us today. And before we get to the football stuff, how were those baseball stats at UF?
My first year there, I ended up hitting in the cage and stuff in October, and then kind of went to baseball after. Started a few games at DH. Played in a few games, and then spring football came around, and Coach Spur was like, "All right, that's enough. We need you back. We need you back." So,
you had your fun, right?
Yep, absolutely. So,
all right, let's take it back to Astronaut High School. You had a monster year, your senior year at defensive end. How was recruiting going for you at that point? Were you getting recruited to play both ways? Because you had incredible stats on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I had multiple offers, obviously, to play tight end, and then I also had multiple offers to play defensive end. I was considering to go into Auburn to play defensive end my senior year, but when I went up to Gainesville, it was close enough to home where I could get home on the weekends and far enough away where I kind of had my own, space, and my mom and dad and family weren't up there all the time, so it was a perfect fit for me. So I obviously had great success and enjoyed my time there in Gainesville.
Was one of Florida's pitches there letting you play baseball, or did that just happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Andy Lopez was there whenever I was there, and we took on our visit to Gainesville for football. We also made a stop into the baseball facility and talked to them. And for them, it was a pretty easy decision. I was a full football scholarship athlete, so I was a free athlete to baseball. So they welcomed me in. So it worked out pretty well.
So outside of logistics and geography, how exactly did you wind up in Gainesville?
Yeah, I mean, before I got to Gainesville, I took a visit to Boston College, and it was November in Boston, and you can imagine an old Florida boy, getting off the airplane, and it's snow and sleet. So I watched the football game, ball bundled up. The next day, we did a campus tour, and I didn't even get out of the car. It was. My mom was on the visit with me, and I told her when we got on the plane to come home, I was like, I'm out for any place up north. So the next weekend happened to be in Gainesville, and it was obviously beautiful weather, and it felt like home. So it was a good fit for me. So
well, you get to Gainesville in '98 in your red shirt, and the tight end room's pretty solid there with Aaron Kinney, Dwight Edge, Kirk Wells. What kind of things did a young Aaron Walker learn on the scout team that year?
Man, I tell you what, man, I probably learned more about myself as a blocker than anything else, because when I was during my redshirt year, I obviously was on the scout team going against guys like Reggie McGrew and Ed Chester and Mike Peterson and Tico Brown and, Johnny Rutledge, all great players. And I played guard on the offensive line and scout team, and more than I played tight end.
Wow.
So it really helped me with my technique as a blocker, obviously footwork, and just competing against those guys on a daily basis. Just kind of welcome to the SEC kind of moment for a young freshman coming in, playing against those guys. But it definitely helped pave the way for a good future.
We've heard about some of those Monday night games there with the scout team. Any stories there?
Yeah, it's funny, man, because it was great when we did good on scout team. But when Coach Stoops would yell Mayday, we knew that we were about to get it because we had to run the same play again. And Coach Sanders, Bob Sanders, was he was our hype guy on scout team, and he always made it fun to play scout team there. And it was just we had a great time just competing.
The next year, spring of '99 rolls around. You're voted most improved tight end. That must have been fun, too. What was different that off season? Was it something different in your preparation or just getting stronger? How exactly do you attribute that improvement?
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of it had to do with maturity level and, not dealing with the fear of the unknown. I was there. I've been there for a year. Obviously matured in the weight room. I think I went, when I came in, I was like 230. 235, and I matured. I think I was like 250, 255 as a sophomore, and obviously that helped me as well. And I think it was just like I said, just the fact that I had been there a year. I knew what to expect in the summer workouts, and not to mention that first year, that first summer, we were in the mezzanine level for workouts because we were redoing the weight room. So. That was a heck of a challenge. I can't tell you how many times I questioned myself walking down those stairs down into the old locker room there. Because we dressed in that old visitors locker room for all of our workouts. And as a freshman, not only did you not know what you were getting yourself into, but you're working out in 150-degree heat upstairs. So
pretty hot.
I tell you, man. But it all worked out in the end for sure.
So when the season starts, week 1, Western Michigan, you make your Gator debut. What's the feeling like when you're walking out that tunnel pregame and looking around the swamp?
Man, I tell you, man, it's a heck of a feeling, kind of overwhelming. That sense of accomplishment you get when you run out of that tunnel in that orange and blue with that crowd going crazy, running through the band, fireworks and stuff going off. It's a heck of a feeling, and to be able to do that with guys that you have grown with and put a lot of work into, and just to have that feeling, it was amazing.
Your first catch comes the following week against UCF. I imagine you remember that one pretty vividly.
Yeah, sort of. I think that sometimes when you get those first moments, it's
surreal.
It is surreal, and you're trying to get a feel for the speed of the game and your surroundings. And I don't know if that was a game we beat UCF pretty good or if they played us pretty tight. I think because we played them a couple years there. But yeah, so it was obviously a great moment.
You get in 10 games that season, but the bulk of the passing attack obviously goes to that loaded wide receiver room. You got Rashay in there, Taylor Jacobs, Jackson Taylor. What were your expectations going into that first season? Did you have an idea of how much you were going to be utilized?
I mean, I think that, in the tight end room, we knew that in that offense with those guys in that wide receiver room, our opportunities were somewhat limited, but I think that we did a great job at taking advantage of all the opportunities that we had.
Definitely.
And it's always fun to be in a great room with a great leader. Aaron Kinney, I learned so much from him. His demeanor as a ball player, level-headed, super great guy, no matter what the situation, willing to teach. And, the guys like that just help younger guys like me, find that confidence to be able to step in and fill a role, whatever role we had in that offense. So it was a great opportunity for me to learn from him in that first year there as I got to play in a few games.
We've heard from others about Aaron Kinney being that leader and mentor too for the tight ends as well.
Yeah, I actually think that he's, obviously had a great NFL career, and I want to say he's a fire chief somewhere too. So he's continued that leadership role through his professional career too.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. Well, the Gators dropped the SEC championship that year to Bama, but being in that environment, the first taste of a college championship game, what was that like for you?
It was a great feeling, great opportunity for me to realize, all right, well, this is what we've worked for all year. It's one of those deals where you almost learn more from the failure of not winning the SEC
Sure.
And what to expect and what to, how hard you have to work the next year to get there. So it was a great feeling, obviously, a feeling of accomplishment to get to the game. And then, emotional that we didn't win the game, but a great opportunity for me to be in that type of situation.
The Gators had a little bit of a rough end to that season, going into the Florida State game with only one loss, but ended up losing the last three against FSU and then Alabama in the SEC championship game, and then Michigan State in the Citrus Bowl. Can't imagine the head ball coach was very happy. Did he have some choice words for you all at the end of that season, or how does that go?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, we get in that Michigan State game, and, they've got, like, I remember having to block Julian Peterson,
Yeah.
which ended up being my teammate in San Francisco. But, after those games, it's almost like win or lose, you're like on to the next season.
Sure.
So I don't really recall Coach Spurrier getting on us too bad at the end of those games. Obviously, he's one of the most competitive people that I've ever been around. So anytime we didn't produce or perform like he thought we should, he always was disappointed. But I think that's what breeds greatness too, is having those expectation levels from the leader of your team.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, it all starts at the top, and as you say, on to the next season. So we're in 2000, and you really emerge as a big-time tight end this year. You play in every game, start 7 of them. You play the most plays of any tight end on the team, even third in TD receptions with 3, including during week 2, you grab 1, but 2 passes in the same game. I'm sure you remember what that must have been like, getting the swamp all roared up with your 2 touchdowns early in the season there.
Yeah, absolutely. They're blue slide steamers is the actual play where both of those tight ends were caught on against Middle Tennessee State. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, you never forget those moments. The 89,000 people, going crazy in the swamp. So yeah, those are great memories. I actually got a game ball that game, so
you deserved it.
Even added bonus there. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you got to keep any of your touchdown balls at UF. I assume you get to keep the game ball, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a couple game balls for sure. I don't think I kept any of the touchdown balls unless it was a game ball after the game.
So Rex takes over the reins there in 2000. How was your relationship with Rex?
Oh, great. I had a great relationship with Rex. He was a great guy. He's different, a little bit different, a little quiet, but that he always had that vote of confidence in the huddle, and never thought that we had a play that was going to fail with him at quarterback. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's a year he had like 10 or 12 games of 300 yards or more, so he was just getting it done for sure.
Robbed of the Heisman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Ben Troupe, who's been on with us, he gets to Gainesville in 2000. Even though he didn't really get on the field right away, what effect did he have on that tight end room?
I mean, he brought the next level of athleticism to that room, man. I think that when you bring guys like Ben into the room, it just takes everybody's level up a notch. Not only do we compete against the defense or do we compete against the team that we're preparing for each week, but we're also competing against each other in our room. Not only to keep our job, to become have a bigger role in the offense, and to get better. And with him in the room, it just raised everybody up. We just got that much better when he was in the room.
Well, the whole team got better. I mean, you guys get back to the SEC championship game, and this time versus Auburn, you finished the job. Coach Spurrier's final SEC championship as coach. How does it feel to be a part of that team bringing the SEC title back to Gainesville after a few years away from it being rightfully home with us in Gainesville?
Yeah, I had a couple. I think I had like 4 catches for 88 that game, and just being on the field and being able to contribute to that win. I mean, like I said before, when we got to the game, weren't able to finish. It just that fire just burns a little brighter, a little hotter in your stomach the next off season, and your work, the goals that you're working towards. And when we get to the game and we finish the job, man, it's like no other feeling of accomplishment that you ever felt before. You've been through 10, 11 games to get to the game, and then ups and downs with your teammates, adversity that you faced and overcame with all those guys, and just the hard work that everybody put in to get to that point and to succeed. It was just a feeling like no other.
Was that week of practice different than the previous year? I imagine it was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just like it's almost like an NFL playoff game, right? It's a do or die game. It's everything's got to be hang everything out. and just let it loose and leave nothing else on the field. That's one of those things that I always try to tell myself is never look back at a time that you were in a position and wish you would have done something different. So it was definitely a heck of an experience.
All right. Well, by your redshirt year in 2001, you're now a top tight end in the SEC. The Sporting News ranked you as one of the top tight ends in the whole nation. How are you feeling going into that season?
Coach Spurrier was a great facilitator of don't get caught up in the media and don't give the other team billboard material. I think that it's hard as a football player to read the papers and read the outside news. You kind of you're focused in on the task at hand and your own personal goals getting through the off season and then your team goals as you work through the season. So I never really got caught up in where I was or how I was ranked or anything like that. I just played the game and kind of let the cards fall.
Well, to that end, now that you're removed from it and you hear like John's great intro, listing many of your accomplishments, are you able to kind of look at it with different eyes being more removed? I mean, obviously you should be very proud of these accomplishments. They're very well deserved.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about it. You don't, when you're in the moment, you're just playing the game, right? You don't really think about, I don't even remember in high school, like ever looking at a stat line. I was just like I was in college. I was enjoying playing a game with my buddies and, people often ask, well, how were you so successful and all your stuff? It's like, I don't know. I just showed up because I wanted to be with my buddies and wanted to be in the weight room and I wanted to be on the field every opportunity I have. I was on the field or in the weight room or training or doing something, and it was continued on through college too. I just enjoyed the time I had with the people that I was around, and I never really got caught up in the stat line. Like I said, I enjoyed the people, the Mike Pearsons, the Todd Johnsons, the Rex, the Rob Roberts, Zedalis, and Jorgensen's, and the Shirelli, and those guys, Matt McCown, those guys that you just have a bond with, and you enjoy being, not only working to get yourself better, but to get them better too. So that's the way I approached the career.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear about the stats. That's a common theme we've heard. Kind of one of the things we've learned doing this show. When John does his intros, a lot of guys are, kind of surprised. It takes them back down memory lane, but it's something that it's been pretty consistent that they really didn't know about it back then. And there's a lot of guys that haven't been aware of some of the records that they hold at UF, things like that. So I guess it's that mentality of just enjoy the moment and kind of don't let the hype get to you.
Yeah, it's crazy the time that we're in now, because those things that I just said, that like you live in the moment and you're enjoying the time you have with the people that you're around. It's almost like it does that exist in this game, this college football game that we're watching now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's, people getting paid and the amount of money they're getting paid. Are they there at the university because they want to be a part of the history and or are they there just to collect a paycheck? It's
a totally different game.
Yeah, it's a debatable subject for sure. But yeah, I just love to be a part of that Gator football team and that Gator family, and through my time there in Gainesville.
Well, getting back to when it was more fun to watch, you start 9 of 11 games that year, add 2 more touchdowns to your resume. Week 5, you guys are sitting 4-0, number 2 in the nation, going into Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge against LSU. You had yourself a day that day with 5 receptions, 88 yards, both career highs for you. I got to think that was maybe one of your favorite games.
Yeah, absolutely, man. If I'm not mistaken, that was a game where we scored 6 or 7 in straight touchdowns, and half their stadium was gone at halftime. So, anytime you can go into Death Valley, and it's always fun on the bus rides in. They're flicking you off, and they're throwing stuff at the bus, and they come out there and score 7 straight touchdowns or 6 straight or whatever it was, and half the stadium gone at halftime. That's always a exciting and memorable moment for sure.
That's one of those half 100 games Spurrier used to talk about.
Yeah.
So there's a common theme around this season with your teammates, at least the ones we've had on the show. Sort of like an unfinished business. As loaded as you guys were, you look back, you finished the season number 3. Some people say that this might have been Coach Spurrier's most talented team he ever had here. How do you feel reflecting back on that? Do you feel like there was unfinished business that you could have potentially been in that big game at the end?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. Because 2001 was 9/11,
mm-hmm.
and that week 3 game against Tennessee, if we would have played Tennessee in week 3, we would have stomped them, and then we would have ended up undefeated or with 1 loss as we got to that championship game for sure. I mean, putting Tennessee at the end of our schedule that year, definitely was a game changer. We were rolling from the year before, and we were hitting on all cylinders to start the season. And as we moved through the season the same way, and if we would have got them early, I guess credit to them. They got us that last game. But we talk about that all the time. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of guys that I played with, and every time we talk about that season, that's brought up for sure.
Well, that was Spurrier's last season because he went to the NFL, to Washington. What do you remember about him addressing the team before his exit, and how did you feel about it?
I honestly think that we were in the hotel room when we figured out that he was leaving. I think we played in the Orange Bowl that year, and he announced it at the Orange Bowl, and my roommate was Mike Pearson, and he's like, "Man, Spurrier's leaving." I'm like, "What?" So I don't remember, him really, and he may have, but I don't really remember him, sitting everybody down and being like, telling us that he's going to make the jump to the NFL. But yeah, I mean, it was, the guy recruited me out of high school. I spent, 4 years with him, and I can't, I learned so much from him, and, just the competitiveness of his mentality and, the expectation level of being perfect. And I couldn't ask for a better coach in my 4 years there, my first 4 years there at the University of Florida. I mean, it definitely set the tone for me mentally for my career as in the next level, and mentally for my career after the game of football as well.
Did you think about leaving early after Spurrier announced?
I did. Obviously my roommate Mike Pearson was going to leave early. There was no doubt about it. But I just felt like I could be better. I could, mature and be a little bit better the next year. I think that was a year that Shockey came out, and there was a couple other tight ends that were going to go higher than me in the draft. So I just kind of stayed put there at the University of Florida.
Well, that next year, Zook comes in. It's your last season at UF. His offense has a little bit more prominent role for the tight ends, and obviously you and Ben Troupe become a lot more, prevalent on offense. How was that with Zook? Was there any discussion going into that year? Did you kind of know that was coming? Did he kind of let you guys know he was going to lean on you, or how did that go?
Well, I think that with, Coach Spurrier's exit and then Coach Zombrecker coming in, just from his history, we knew that we were going to be a little bit more a prominent role in that offense, which I was excited about. It's like I don't go to the NFL, and I stay, and what more could I ask for my last year but to catch more balls and to have more of a role in the offense. So I think it definitely worked out in the tight end's favor that year. Coach Zook was a whole different animal than Coach Spurrier.
Absolutely.
His motor ran at 100 the whole time, and Coach Zombrecker was a good offset to Coach Zook. Another funny story about that year, Zombrecker kind of gave Rex the reins to the offense. At one point in the year, he had to take the reins back because Rex was checking to the 9 route probably every other play. So that was pretty funny. He said, "All right, enough's enough. We can't." It also kind of helped me. We changed our offense from what we were doing before. So looking back on it now, going into the NFL, I was with 2 or 3 different coordinators, learning some different offenses as I was working my way through the NFL. So it just kind of was a stepping stone, and it helped me understand what was needed of me in a new offense. So,
despite your indifference to the statistics, clearly you have a great senior season, your best one yet. You start all 13 games, 27 catches, 376 yards, another 4 touchdowns, and a ridiculously impressive 13.9 yards per carry. That's like wide receiver material there. I'm sorry, per catch. I did say per carry. Excuse me. That's really impressive. You talked about your relationship with Rex. Obviously, you say he's running the show now. What was it like having such a big part in the offense, having the trust of a great quarterback like Rex?
I think you can't ask for anything more than that. As a receiver, as a tight end, that was kind of my MO all through college. Was I was extremely consistent and somebody that was trustworthy in both offices with Coach Spurrier and Coach Zombrecker. So I like to think of it as the tight end position is almost like a security blanket. We're always consistent. We're always going to be in the spot we're supposed to be. We try to play the game smart, and I think that Rex really caught on to that if the deep ball wasn't there, or Taylor Jacobs or like those Carlos Perez, Kelvin Kites, those guys that weren't open deep, then we were always going to be there as his outlet. So that relationship with Rex really helped that year.
Well, you're voted second team All-SEC. You have your 27 catches, which is actually the most by a Gators tight end since 1990. You did some pretty cool things at UF. Any one thing stand out as a favorite?
Yeah, I think it's just that SEC championship season.
Sure.
That just to be able to bring that ring home to Gainesville and kind of, reestablish the fact that we're the best team in the SEC. That season was extremely memorable. Even the 2001 season when we had, a great team and a great opportunity, but we just missed out after with that Tennessee game. And, like I said, the friendships I made with my teammates that are lifelong, I can't ask for anything more than that. So
that year also brought another big moment in your life. Your daughter was born.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, how'd the dynamics of your bachelor pad change living with a couple of teammates, Todd Johnson and Reed Fleming?
Yeah, man. I tell you what, we all got a little bit softer that year, man. My oldest daughter, she's 21 now, was born in July, and I was obviously home for her birth, and I was here for a couple of days, and I was like, all right, Coach, is it all right if I stay a couple more? This is Coach Zook. Is it all right if I stay a couple more days? He goes, no. Ain't much more you can do now, bud. We need you back. So I'm like, all right. Luckily for me, my wife Michelle, who we've been married for 21 years, together for almost 25, and she had a great support system around her. So, but yeah, that was a heck of a year. She would come up for every game, and my in-laws would come up and sit with her, with Taylor so my wife could go to the games, and I think everybody enjoyed her being there. She was a good baby, so she didn't keep anybody up. So, just having her, it's kind of like 3 Men and a Baby, the movie, man. It was like 4 men and a baby. So, but it was great memories for sure.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go.
That's right, man. That's right. We had a little swing that she liked, so we set the swing up in the living room, and if it was Monday Night Football, or if we were watching Sunday football or whatever, she was swinging away in her swing, while the boys and I and Michelle were watching football in the living room. So
nice.
So it was, like I said, it was a memorable times, and I'll never forget them, and I'll never wish for any other way. So.
Earlier, one of your other roommates was Brock Berlin. Did you discuss with him about him leaving and try to talk him out to defecting and headed south down to UM in Coral Gables?
It's one of those things when you're in the internally, like moving with your team, and you see a guy like Rex, and then you have a great quarterback like Brock, and it's like that Brock brings a lot to the table, but he's not going to get an opportunity because the guy in front of him is a great player.
It's true.
So as friends, man, we just wanted to see him be successful and play. So when he went to UM, it was like, obviously we wanted him to stay, but we understood that, he wants to get to the next level too, and to be at Florida playing behind Rex, he just wasn't going to get the opportunity that he needed. So, to see him go to UM and be successful and have a great career there was great. I got to play with Brock when I was in St. Louis with the Rams. So actually Brock.
Oh, very cool.
Brock Berlin and Todd Johnson.
Right.
We were all teammates in St. Louis together. So it was good to see him have an opportunity to be great like he wanted to be.
Very cool. You couldn't talk him into going to like Oregon or something? He had to go down to Miami?
Yeah, no. It was I think it was either that or probably LSU. He'd be like a Louisiana boy, so either way. So.
All right, 2003 NFL Draft, the 49ers take you 5th round. Is this where you were projected to go? And where were you when you got the call?
I don't know where I was projected. I was home. It's funny. The last pick of the 3rd round that year was Tampa. And, we're sitting around the table kind of playing cards or whatever. And the phone rings. Like, Tampa's on the clock. The phone rings. And it was one of my wife's friends. And I'm like, you can't be calling here right now. Dang it. If you look back at the draft, the guy that, future Hall of Famer that was that first team SEC went, the 3rd round with Witten. And I feel as though I kind of fell back a little bit. It's the drafts are always kind of trendy. There are 2 or 3 teams take a defensive lineman, and the next thing you know, there's 3 or 4 other teams that take it, and everything else kind of gets pushed back. But like I said, I wouldn't change it for anything. It was a funny story. My wife, as we're going through this process, and she's like, I'll go. I don't mind going anywhere, but I just don't want to go to California. And then we end up in San Francisco. I'm like, well, I don't know if you jinxed us or not, but here we go to California. So, and being a 5th round pick or 2nd day pick in the NFL, you really have to earn your spot. So, being a 5th round pick in San Francisco, they've got Eric Johnson, and they've got 3 or 4 more tight ends, and I'm coming in. There's a couple injuries, and next thing you know, I'm second on the depth chart with Jed Weaver, and having to earn that or having to have that mental stability to be able to work through camp, knowing that there's no guarantee. Like I said, you look back on it in each step in life, you're like, okay, well, that's what prepared me for this moment, and that's what prepared me for this moment. And I think that those steps have prepared me or kept me moving in one foot in front of the other as I moved through my professional career out of football and stuff. So we enjoyed it. We soaked it up. It was a great opportunity for our families they were born and raised in a small town in Florida to get to the West Coast and see things they'd never seen before. And, it ended up being a great experience for us. So.
You mentioned having some Gators with you on the Rams, but you also had some Gators with you on San Francisco. You had Jeff Chandler, who's been on the show with us, Terry Jackson. They have a little welcoming party there for you?
Yeah, Jeff and Terry, we call him Coach. Coach. Obviously welcomed me in, kind of helped me through some of the process, and to be able to play. Anytime you're able to play with former teammates, man, it's just you have that instant bond, and you have that almost like a little bit of credibility as you're moving through the locker room because those guys are veterans and they obviously helped me through everything. And I spent a lot of time that first year on special teams, which Terry had a big role in the special teams, so it was good to be with him and those meetings and kind of pick his brain on what needed to be done and stuff like that. So it's always good when you have an ally.
Sure,
you're not going into it blind. So
that first year in 2003, you grabbed your one NFL touchdown. Can you tell us about that play, and do you still have that ball?
Yeah, I've got that ball for sure. And it was just a tight end delay, like a little tight end delay screen pass. We were playing Detroit and San Fran, and it was Jeff. Jeff Garcia was our quarterback, and it just kind of worked out perfect. I was on the backside of the play, and just like a 2 or 3 second pause there at the last scrimmage, and just kind of did like a little wide pop. Just popped out. Jeff found me, and I ended up jumping over the safety to get in the end zone. And obviously, being in the NFL is a surreal moment, and just in itself to be able to get to that point in your career, and then to score a touchdown, it was just a memorable moment you'll never forget.
I gotta imagine you've been dreaming about that moment since probably before high school.
Absolutely, man.
Scoring a touchdown in the NFL, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I never played football until my first year of football was my freshman year in high school. So I always grew up playing soccer and baseball and basketball and everything in between. And to be able to start my freshman year in high school and work my way to the Division I University of Florida, to work my way through that, to be a draft pick, to be in the NFL, man, it's a heck of a journey. A lot of ups and downs in between, but like I said, just all those situations and moments just prepared me for my life and friendships for a lifetime and memories for a lifetime, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
So you stay in San Francisco for another season, and as you alluded to earlier, then in 05, you go on to a few years with the Rams. Altogether, you get in 55 games, 25 catches, 312 yards, and that touchdown you mentioned. Pretty impressive. What are some of your takeaways from the time in the league? Obviously, the touchdown's a highlight. Any other play or stand out to you, or specific experience with a coach or teammate you'd like to share?
Yeah, man. So, we were in my years in San Francisco. They were great years, and then when I moved when I was with the Rams in the Midwest, man, that environment that we were in St. Louis is one of the most, probably the best 2 or 3 years of our life. When I say ours, I mean Michelle and mine and my kids. Just the welcomingness of the Rams organization and the family-oriented atmosphere that they brought to the game days, and those moments, man, those are lifetime moments that I'll never forget. because as a football player, you work hard to get there, but your spouse goes through everything with you. Their ups and downs, and they're California to St. Louis, and everything in between. And for her, Michelle and Taylor, and then Avery, she came along the second year in St. Louis. They enjoy their time there too, so it just makes my job, my mindset that much better. And also as we're moving through the second year of the Rams, Steven Jackson had that great year of I think it was 2,100 or more all-purpose yards, and he gifted us a couple things, and those are moments I'll never forget. I played with Hall of Famer Orlando Pace and Isaac Bruce, and future Hall of Famer and Torrey Holt, and just being around those guys they're just memories that you'll never forget.
Can you tell us about the gifts?
Oh yeah, it was a Panerai, Italian-made Panerai watch.
Ooh, nice.
That was in a nice oak box, had a couple different bands, and obviously it's something that was unexpected. I was just doing my job, and he rewarded us with that gift. It was a great moment. So
very nice.
Yeah, I still have it and wear it occasionally. So
yeah. Andy, you listening for me and Sid?
That's right.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, there you go, man. Panerai watches.
You got to have a story about Terrell Owens, no? In San Francisco?
Oh yeah, T.O., man. When I first got to San Francisco, obviously all the rookies, they have metal cage lockers in the middle of the locker room as we work through training camp. And as you make the 53 man, then you move into the locker, your bigger lockers and that are on the outside edges of the locker room. And T.O. was my neighbor. He was my locker neighbor. And, I always tell people, when that camera turns on, he's a whole different person. But when he was sitting next to me, man, he was like the coolest, most down-to-earth guy that you would ever meet. And I'll never forget, that joker had another locker just for his shoes. He had so many cleats and shoes. And I was like, holy cow, this guy. But no, man, he was a great teammate. And like I said, he was really kind of low-key and in the locker room and stuff. And I enjoyed my time there with T.O. Bryant Young, he was there. He's a Hall of Famer too. So, through my career, man, it's just been an unbelievable experience, not only to be a part of that team, but see how those guys work. And the Hall of Fame well-deserved for those guys.
After football's over, John mentioned in the intro, your post-football life, you go to work in a pit crew for NASCAR. How did that happen?
Yeah, man, that's crazy. So, obviously I was in Cleveland in 2009 for camp. And I got let go at the end of camp. And at the halfway point to my home in Florida was like Mooresville, Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, my wife has a cousin that lives in North Carolina in that area. So I stopped there on my way home. And her boyfriend at the time, her husband now, knew a couple people in NASCAR and at Hendrick Motorsports, and he was friends with Rick Hendrick's son and with Lance McGrew, which was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief at the time. And I just, at that particular time, they were starting to move towards college athletes to do pit crew stuff. And Hendrick Motorsports had like a pit crew of, a couple tire changers, a couple of jackman, a couple of gas man types that they were training to put within their cars, their teams. And I just happened to meet Lance and one of the coach that was for the 88 and 5 teams. And he's like, man, whenever you get ready, you just come on up. So I actually went, I would say, obviously I was like, absolutely, if things don't work out, I'll be back. And I went home and I think I had a workout in Buffalo and a workout in New England. And it got later in the season and it was time to, figure out if I wanted to play football anymore. And it just got to the point where kind of everything with football kind of, laid low. And I was like, all right, well, I got to do something. So I ended up going up to North Carolina, actually staying with her cousin and going to Hendrick Motorsports. And next thing I know, that program was being ran like a college football or college program where weights and, agility training and all this stuff. And I ended up, with a backup fueler with Dale Jr. That first year. I guess it was 2010. And I was a jackman too. So I ended up pitting Dale Jr.'s nationwide team cars, and yeah, man, and the rest is history, I guess. I got in with them, spent a couple years with Dale Jr. and a year with Mark Martin and a year with Casey Kane, and all the while I was pitting Danica on the Nationwide Series and Penske racing with Keselowski and Logano, and then my last year at Penske, I was pitted Sam Hornish when we made a run for the championship, and then went over to Ganassi and pitted with Juan Pablo and Tommy Baldwin racing. I spent some years with him, and so I mean, it just kind of gave me an opportunity to be a professional, still with using my body as my way to make money. So.
Some big names there too.
For real.
Yeah, it was a good time for sure. It was a lot of travel, 36 weekends out of the year. I was away, and my kids were getting older, and we had a couple family members with some health issues that we got back to Florida, and then Mike Pearson, which was my roommate at Florida, was in medical sales, and his mentor was looking for somebody in the Brevard County area, so I ended up doing medical sales for like 7-8 years when I got back. So. It's full circle. It's the Gator Nation. We're everywhere.
Absolutely.
We're everywhere, and that's why we are who we are. It's a brotherhood. It's if we can help somebody out in any type of way, that's just kind of what we do.
That's great to hear. And like some of your NFL teammates, Orlando Pace and T.O., you too are a Hall of Famer. In 2015, you were inducted in the Space Coast Sports Hall of Fame. What can you tell us about that? That's got to be pretty special. They're recognized in your hometown.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool. It was kind of unexpected. I really didn't know much about it. They called me to let me know that I was being nominated for that Hall of Fame. I had to kind of do some research, to be honest, to see what it was all about. And unfortunately, I was during that time I was in North Carolina, so I was unable to get back for the ceremony. But yeah, it's a pretty cool honor for sure. Guys like Doug Flutie, who was from Melbourne, and Tim Wakefield, and the guys like that are also in that Hall of Fame.
Very cool.
And a few years later, I was inducted into my high school Hall of Fame as well. So it's been quite the surreal moments. Like I said, whenever you had the intro, it's like kind of forgot about all that stuff. So it makes you realize that all your hard work didn't go unseen. So
it definitely did not.
You brought up your daughters. Were they athletes too?
Yeah. So my oldest daughter played volleyball, basketball, and softball at Astronaut, and she had a couple of small school offers to play volleyball at the next level, but decided that she didn't want to play. And my youngest daughter plays volleyball and softball. So, and then I'm an assistant coach at Astronaut for football, and an assistant coach for baseball.
Very cool.
So we're busy.
Clearly.
We like I said, I enjoy my time. The guy that I'm coaching baseball with is a guy that I grew up with. I've known him for 40 years.
Wow.
So to be able to have that experience also is just to be able to get back. I enjoy coaching the kids. I enjoy seeing those kids grow up and mature. And if I can teach those kids from my experiences and help them get through situations in life just by some of my situations, that's why I coach.
Sure.
Not the wins and losses, but to see those kids be successful in life. I also want to say we got so next year at Astronaut, we're doing a Florida football community football camp. I'll get some dates, and John, I got your number, so I'll shoot you some dates when we got it. So
okay.
So what we've decided to do, I'm working with Rob Roberts and Shirelli and Mike Pearson. So what we're doing is every year we're going to hit somebody's hometown, and we're going to do a free football camp in that person's hometown.
Oh, so cool.
And next year, which will be our first year, it'll be here in my hometown. So just an opportunity. We're not incentivizing it for players that, former football players, Florida players that come to the camp. We're there because we want to give back to our community. So once I have a little bit more information, I'll shoot you a flyer, John, and
yeah, whatever we can do, you let me know. Send me whatever you want, and we'll get that information out there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like I said, it's free. We're going to do it there at my hometown, home high school. So it'll be a good experience and getting fun. We've got even Kirk Wells is a graphic design major at Florida. He's helping us design the shirts. So we're all of us football guys are
very cool. That's Nick Shirelli?
Yeah, Nick Shirelli. Yeah,
he was in one of my classes at UF.
I knew you were going to say that.
I had to. It's the first time he's been brought up, and I think it was like an advertising class, and we had to do a focus group. And we had to put together a focus group of people outside the class. And he brought in Jesse Palmer with a broken arm and Travis Taylor. And we did the focus group. It was just cool.
Nice, man. Yeah. Nick's a scout for the Broncos.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, he does the Southeast. So,
very cool.
So it'll be, I'm pretty sure Nick and Rob Roberts, Pearson and Todd and anybody else that's in the Florida area that wants to be a part, we'll hit your community up too.
Awesome.
For sure.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. And then in that group chat, feel free to put, the information about our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
In case anybody wants to do it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man,
I'm just putting it out
I'm
there.
in there. I'm in the group chat with Mike Pearson, who would be great for that Tampa market, and Todd Johnson, who would also be great for the Tampa market, and Jesse and David Jorgensen and Matt McCown. I'm in a group with all those guys.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Future friends of the show.
And, man, this has been awesome. And we usually end the show in a bit, and we're going to do a you or trivia. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. Who had more total receiving yards at UF, you or Aaron Kinney?
Me.
You did. 716. Aaron Kinney had 507. Number 2. Who had more receptions at UF, you or Terry Jackson?
I'm going to have to say T-Jack for that.
Barely.
Yeah,
he
not
did.
by much.
He had 59. 59, you had 56.
Yeah, because I remember he was a good third down back for us, man. He used to catch balls out of the backfield all the time.
He sure did.
All right, number 3. Who had a higher yards per catch at UF, you or Aaron Hernandez?
Well, after you said it, mine was 13.9.
Well, that's your senior year, though.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm
true.
talking total career.
I'll have to say Hernandez.
No, you did. 12.8.
Oh, wow.
Fake out.
Oh, there you go. You set me.
Yeah, he set you up.
me up for that one. Yeah.
12.8. Aaron Hernandez had 12.5.
Both impressive.
All right, number 4. Who? Yeah, very, very. Who had more touchdowns their rookie year in the NFL? You or Kyle Pitts?
Pitts for sure.
Nope.
Another trick question.
No, really.
Push. You both had one.
Oh, okay.
Over 1,000 yards, but he only had one touchdown.
Which is crazy.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah, right.
Fantasy bummer.
That's right. You're talking to fantasy football guys. We know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. Who had more touchdowns at UF? You or Ben Troupe?
I'm going to have to say Troupe.
Nope. You did. You had 9. He had 7.
Oh, wow.
You see, he really didn't keep track of his stats. He seemed genuinely surprised by some of those answers.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
Aaron, man, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on. Like I said, you were there, basically when we were there. Always been a sentimental favorite of ours. And, since day one, we've had our lists of guys that we'd really like to have on the show. And you were one of them. So thank you for taking the time out to do our show. And, we really, really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I appreciate it, and it's good to get to know you guys, and obviously I appreciate all you guys do for getting together with all the old Gators and getting it going. And if there's anything you need from me at any time, man, John, you got my number. You can pass it along to the boys, and I'll do whatever I can to help you guys out.
Thank you very much.
I keep the numbers to myself. No.
Yeah. Yes, he does.
Yeah, he doesn't share that.
That was great. That was a lot of fun talking to him.
Feels like he could have been like one of the guys when we were at UF, right?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
And another clearly high character guy. Like, what a good dude. Obviously we're pretty biased. Gators are awesome, but good people coming through here on our show. Friends of the show. Very nice.
All right. Well, it's time for our 2 bits. Sid, you want to kick us off tonight since we left you off last time?
That sounds good. I was really impressed with this man's versatility. He's like a Jim Thorpe. He was doing basketball. He was doing baseball. Clearly he did pretty good in football. And then NASCAR. I mean, gosh, the Joe Gibbs route of sports to do football. And then when you retire from the NFL, go play in the race cars. That's pretty cool. Quite the Renaissance man. Very, very impressive guy. Great interview.
Very nice.
Mine's a little different. I had a couple I was going to go with, but I think the one I thought was kind of interesting, kind of put things in perspective on what these guys go through and how competitive it is and how much everyone wants to win, was when he had his daughter. Had his daughter, wanted to spend a couple extra days at home, although Zook had a comedic answer, but I was surprised I was surprised when he said, Zook said, nothing else you can do there. We need you back here. But I was actually surprised because I thought he was going to say, from what we've heard from other players,
they painted
about
Zook as a warm and fuzzy guy. You think you'd give the man some
yeah,
downtime, right?
Yeah. I thought he was going to say, he said no problem, take an extra couple days. But that's
nope,
not how
get
it
back
was.
Here.
So I got to say, as he was telling the story, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to say Zook let him stay, but not the case.
Very nice. My 2 bits isn't really a story he told as much as it is a comment and a few comments that he made throughout the interview when he repeatedly would say, I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change. He said that several times. And one of his comments really stuck with me was he felt certain things happened to him in life to get him ready for the next step, right? And, I don't know about you guys, but, I felt like that too. Things in my life that have happened, I feel have gotten me ready for a different step or a next step.
Sure.
So when he said that, it really hit home. And then you could really feel just his genuineness about it. He just felt like he was happy where he was and where he was going in life.
Very good.
And thankfully on that journey, he passed through Gainesville for us. So Thank you again for that, Aaron.
I don't know if you guys caught it. It was he said something in passing kind of towards the end of the interview that was interesting to me, that his first year of football was his freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine if he got started early. My goodness. Natural athlete.
First year of football is freshman year of high school, and he played both ways and was dominant both ways.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, one of my sentimental favorites.
Yep.
Absolutely. And his buddy, Todd Johnson, I'd love to have him on the show. Pearson and all those guys. Maybe Nick Shirelli, my college buddy.
I remember that because he was like the first one we ever met that was a player. That was like, I remember we were seeing him in the barn and we were talking to him and stuff. And it was that was like the first guy that being there that you met that was on the football team. So I knew that name. I'll never forget that name because of that. And I knew as soon as he said Shirelli, I'm like, oh, he's going to ask him if that's who it is.
That's right, man. I got to get back in touch with good old Nick.
Yeah.
From, I think it was an advertising class. I don't know.
I personally remember walking around campus and seeing Gerard Warren with a gigantic gold chain with a big dollar sign on it every day between classes. So that's my football player memory. He had the bling.
Yeah, and Jabbar running by you, 70-yarder.
Yeah, I didn't see any bling. He was too fast for me to notice that. That was more like a blur.
All right. Well, what's not a blur is our webpage, allforthegatorspodcast.com. Go there, find out all our upcoming guests. You can listen to all the episodes there, even find out some information on us if you care about us at all. Go to our webpage.
My favorite website.
Yes. Check us out on all social media. Oh, man. Even Fred Taylor is sharing our Instagram stories. This is crazy, guys.
I know, it is wild.
Wow. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't change a thing.
Yes.
Oh,
I like it.
That's wrapping it up with a bow, like you used to say.
It's been a pleasure. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.